Dan Larson here at the Photobooth with the stuff I picked up from the first ever Toy Galaxy meetup and also a general recap of what I can remember from the event. It's all kind of a blur right now, to be honest. First up, Justin, and I'm not sure if Justin wants me to give out his Twitter or his Instagram or anything like that, but actually I don't even know if he has a Twitter. But if you're looking to connect with another Toy Galaxy fan, it's at Justin Wedge Mega on Instagram. He literally, and he had let me know ahead of time that So the event wasn't just, people hanging out in a space. It was people hanging out in a space. And then also, buying, selling, trading toys, whatever, that sort of thing. So for the sort of initial trading period, people were encouraged to bring stuff. Justin literally said, I'm bringing a truck full of things and I don't know what to do with all this stuff. And I was like, hey, if nothing else, the people at the event will probably be interested in these things. And I was. And so he hooked me up with this Shogun Warriors comic book. First off, this is issue number 16 from Marvel Comics, which is such a weird thing to me that Marvel was actually doing Shogun Warriors comics. I mean, I've known about this for years. And the more I learn about Shogun Warriors and their where they came from and all that stuff, the weirder it gets to me. We haven't done a history of episode on that yet. We will get to that. It's on the list. But Justin also hooked me up with this gorgeous vintage Kenner Boba Fett. I haven't issued him a number yet because it's been a while since I actually tracked everything. I'm not going to get into the whole story right now. He's going to get a number soon enough. Don't worry about it. That'll all be updated later on. The important thing to know is that I got another one, and it came from Justin. Also got Bolt, the Gobot from back in the day. One of my favorites at the time. Basically, anybody that was a jet, an airplane, anything like that had a airplane or jet mode, I was totally down with. My grandfather worked on P-38s back in World War II. And, this wasn't one of the worst ones. Had a great spot on alt mode. Transformation wasn't terrible. And, as far as robot modes go for stuff like this, for the years that it came out, it's not that bad. I loved this airplane. I loved this Gobot. And seeing it in his pile of stuff, I wasn't 100% sure. I couldn't remember if I actually owned this one already. I knew I had it when I was a kid when it originally came out, but I couldn't remember if I currently owned one. So I was like, I better grab that thing. It's in fantastic condition, just in case mine's in crappier condition. So I got that too. I grabbed this for Mrs. Toy Galaxy, this little Ewok. Honestly, I don't know. The Ewok has a little butt. I don't know the character's name. I don't think that it's necessarily supposed to be Nippet or whoever it is. And I don't even know if this is actually a figure or pencil top or whatever it is, but it was adorable. And Mrs. Toy Galaxy loves the Ewoks, and she loves that kind of stuff. So I grabbed that. And then this is a bag full of Robolinks. Not sure if you know what Robolinks are. They're basically little robot figures. This is a whole block of them that are stuck together very well. I went through and sorted them last night. And the whole idea is that they can be individual robots, like so. I believe they're Takara from 1984. And the weird story with them is that they actually ended up being licensed under the Robotech name before Robotech was associated with Macross. I'm not going to get into that right now. But you basically have individual robots here, and there's all kinds of little snap-on parts and weapons and sorts of things, modular peg holes and whatever. And you can, the more you have, the more you can combine the robots and turn them into other things, make ships, make bigger robots, do all sorts of things with them. This is how many I had before yesterday. And, thanks to this bag of stuff, this is how many I have now, and all these bags of parts in here. So this is like, I don't know, 25 different robot pieces from various building sets. In fact, that might actually just be like 1 or 2 sets. It was really weird how that whole set went down. But that's everything I got from Justin. Josh gave me 2 things here that I am not going to be able to fit in the frame. But I think you can see the important part here. I'm going to tip it back a little bit, and hopefully you can see this whole thing. This is a Snake Eyes sketch by Ron Rudat, signed by Ron Rudat to Toy Galaxy. Oorah, Ron Rudat. Ron Rudat, if you don't know, is one of the principal character designers for G.I. Joe back in the day. Obviously worked for Hasbro, did a lot of illustration work for them. A lot of character designs, played a big hand in a lot of these characters that we know just as part of that mythology today. And these are substantially sized pieces here. This paper is like Probably 11 by 14, somewhere around there. So there's a Snake Eyes, and then there's also a Storm Shadow here. Sorry, I can't show these off a little bit better, but the booth is only so big, and the camera is only so positioned. That's really the best I can give you a look in that. But Josh said that he had grabbed these frames, wanted to give them a little bit nicer presentation. I am absolutely blown away by these things. This is a very cool idea, uniquely presented, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Ron Rudat in person yet to thank him for all his work, but I think it's pretty neat that Josh was able to have him sign those pieces to Toy Galaxy, so that at least I know Ron knows about us. Thanks, Ron, and thanks, Josh, for getting those done for us. Thank you. David, who is at David Porkchop on Instagram, David hooked me up with another vintage Kenner Fett. Again, no number currently assigned. I think it's somewhere in the 470s. I'll get that fixed on Instagram soon so we know exactly what count we're on. He hooked me up with this beautiful, beautiful Fett. You know that I love them all. I don't care what condition they're in. And then even better than that, he brought a gift for Producer Greg, a huge stack of laser discs. Producer Greg's a big laser disc guy. I don't have them to show off here, obviously, because they are at Producer Greg's house. He was very, very happy with that stuff. And it was neat to see somebody, you know, bring Producer Greg something. Because Producer Greg doesn't care. He doesn't care about toys and action figures. Obviously, he cares about the show and putting on the whole thing. But he's not a toy collector or anything. He's a movie guy. So it was very, very kind, very generous of David to not only bring this, but also think of Producer Greg and bring him that whole stack of Laserdiscs that I don't know what he's going to do with them. I'm pretty sure he has a Laserdisc player. I don't know if it works, but I know he's a big, he's big into like the sleeve art and that kind of stuff. So that was really neat. And thank you very much, David. Check out David's Instagram at David Porkchop. Johnny, who is at Copperbot Shots on Instagram. We have this whole bag of stuff here, including this Kabaya Big Powered model kit. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what Big Powered was. I just thought that was like a nickname or something. But it turns out it's actually the combined form of this whole robot. This is like a model kit that I will have to open up and put together at some point. That'll be fun. I did really quickly because I had to find out what the name of this thing was. He had told me what it was. And I was like, I don't know what those words mean in that order. So I looked it up to see what it was. And sure enough, Big Powered. So I know a little bit more about it now than I did before. This amazingly awesome, I just dropped his sword, Dynaman mecha unit from back in 1984. He is in gorgeous condition overall. The fact that he has his fists and his sword and his shield and everything looks like it works great. He's missing his little right side jet propulsion wing and booster thing here. I think there's maybe some rockets or something that go on his shoulders, but whatever, man. The paint's in great shape. The chrome's in great shape. Sticker looks good. And this is from back in the Sentai era that I'm really a fan of. Pre-Power Rangers. So this would have been like 84, 85, somewhere around there. And then also in here we've got a hat from Enerjohnny's by Lem. And this has the 3 Seekers on it. So that'll be handy in the cold, brutal winters of the North. Oh, and I almost forgot. He also included a sampling of his toy photography. So be sure to check him out at, like I said, at Copperbot Shots on Instagram. All your Transformers favorites. Ah, Lockdown. That's actually one of my favorites. I love that Transformers animated piece. Grimlock. All good stuff here. Siege Soundwave. So check him out. Give him a follow. Thanks a lot, Johnny. So the first ever Toy Galaxy meetup, it was a very special thing, and hopefully it's the first of many. It's tough to explain exactly where my head was even at, what we were expecting, what we were thinking. The fact that we even did it, the show. I mean, I was incredibly anxious leading up to it. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't eating well. I didn't eat anything the whole day. We even had cake there. I hadn't eaten anything before until the end of the actual event. We got there early around like noon. Didn't leave until 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I was starving by the end of the thing. But we just didn't know what to expect. The show has always been a very private thing. Just me and producer Greg shooting it, for several years now. But one person actually drove up from New Jersey, and that's pressure, man. That put some pressure on me. I don't want to disappoint that guy. He came all the way up, spent all that time. you know, Mrs. Toy Galaxy kept trying to reassure me, like, oh, you know, these people already, they love the show, they love what you do, there's no way you could possibly disappoint them. And I was like, I'm not so sure about that. I'm pretty sure we could let them down really bad. And I didn't want to. I wanted to make sure we sort of met the level of what, you know, we had established for the show itself over all these years. So, you know, we opened it up. There was an hour and a half of sort of a buy-sell trade period. Lots of cool stuff. A lot of people brought stuff, and one person in particular, Justin, who I got the robo-links from, he brought a ton of stuff, and I didn't have nearly enough time to look through all of the items he brought or anything, or the stuff that everybody else brought, because I wanted to make sure I was moving around and talking to people and you know, shaking hands and getting to know names and just connecting with everybody. And it would have been rude if I had just stood there going through all the bins of action figures trying to make trades and whatever. And we gave out name badges and had people put their screen names on them or whatever names that they use online, because that's the way I'll be seeing them, you know, in the comments on Instagram, whatever. That's where I'll remember. I'm not going to remember, unfortunately, people's, you know, first names. Maybe after 2 or 3 meetups, who knows? But yeah, you know, Mrs. Toy Galaxy got a cake. And that was fun, and most of the cake was gone by the end of the thing. We had special commemorative buttons made up. And, you know, for however nervous I was about shooting the show live, quote-unquote live, it was shot live, not broadcast live. The sort of mingling about and getting to know people took some of that edge off. You know, I was able to, it wasn't a bunch of strangers anymore. And so, you know, once we got set up and started shooting, I was able to focus on the camera, focus on producer Greg, like I usually would, and just tried to let all the other stuff fade away. And I don't know what producer Greg can do with the footage. I'm really hoping that everything came out well. I haven't seen it yet. He said it looks good, so hopefully he'll be able to cut that into something that works. And if so, that video will go up Thursday this week, so 2 days from now. Very special day for me. Prior to yesterday, and for the whole show, not just for me, but I'm relating my personal experience. Prior to yesterday, the only people that had ever been present for a shooting of an episode, other than myself and producer Greg, were Mrs. Toy Galaxy, Mrs. Producer Greg, and Gregoy from the YouTube channel previously known as Tommy's Toy Travels, now known as Gregoy. Yeah, well, once again, thank you to everyone who's able to make it out. I've seen the messages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter from people who wanted to go but couldn't, and I genuinely appreciate that solidarity from afar. You were with us in spirit. Thank you to Double Midnight Comics in Manchester for hosting. They are a great shop that I've been going to for a very long time, and they did everything they could to help us make this event a success. Thank you to Mrs. Toy Galaxy and Mrs. Producer Greg for helping run the whole thing and dealing with us. And thank you to Producer Greg for all of his hard work every day for the channel. And hey, man, it was his idea to do the meetup in the first place, so thank you. Thanks for watching this and all of our videos. Hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Check out our Patreon if you're in the position to help the channel grow up. Patreon.com/toygalaxy. Thanks. Later.